Hello, everyone. My name is Kandize McPhee, and I'm a coral technician and would like to welcome you to a webinar hosted by Perry Institute for Marine Science. Today, we will be talking about ways to reduce the spread of stony coral tissue loss disease amongst our corals. For this webinar, we will be covering the importance of coral reefs, what is stony coral tissue loss disease, how is stony coral tissue loss disease spreading, how to reduce the spread of stony coral tissue loss disease, and finally, tips to take away. If you aren't aware of us, here is a brief overview. Perry Institute for Marine Science is a nonprofit organization that focuses on marine conservation and restoration in the Bahamas and other Caribbean countries. It has been one of the leading research organizations in the Bahamas for over 50 years and continues to conduct programs based on education, citizen science, and preservation to help and protect our oceans. Within our organization, a few of our different programs fall under coral reefs, vital fisheries, coastal marine ecosystems, and local community outreach and education. The presenters for today's webinar will be some of the members from our Coral Response Team. We will have Taylor Walters, Meghyn Fountain, Teni Burrows, and finally myself, Kandize McPhee, speaking to you on the topic at hand. So let's dive straight in. When it comes to some of the ecosystem services, corals provide shelter for many marine organisms. They are a major tourist attraction for many that travel from near and far. In addition to this, coral reefs promote job opportunities for many around the world. There is a lot of research done in the past on corals that support medicines being developed that are valuable to human health. Equally important, they are natural buffers for the coast from destructive waves. Sadly, they are being threatened daily. Coral reefs are critical marine habitats. We need coral reefs, and they can definitely use our help. Today, we will be speaking about steps we can all take to help reduce the spread of this disease that is currently threatening corals in the Bahamas called stony coral tissue loss disease, or skildy for short. First, let's get a brief understanding of what is skildy.
One of the issues that we are trying to tackle is a flesh-eating coral disease. In a previous webinar, we spoke about what is skittledy and ways to identify it. For those that may not know, it is a pathogen found free-living in our ocean. The disease is not only threatening corals in the Bahamas, but also in the Caribbean. Although corals have experienced other diseases in the past, this new disease is spreading faster and is more deadly than any prior coral disease. Currently, this disease is affecting and threatening 35 to 45 of our coral species, and this is what it looks like. These are more photos of skittledy outbreak found attacking our corals. Even though most of our corals are threatened, we can still play an important role to protect them and keep them safe. Here is what to look for when identifying the disease. You will notice multiple lesions on corals, like the photo on the right-hand side. Over a very short period, there will be rapid tissue loss patterns. If you look closely at the coral on the left-hand side, you will see a diseased portion that will appear white with no tissue present, just a bare or exposed skeleton. The photo on the left is an example of what a coral with skittledy looks like up close. You can see the white edge, which is the disease margin. But to learn more, you can watch the attached link on how to further identify the disease. As we mentioned earlier, skittledy is waterborne. It has been traveling by vectors like marine organisms that nibble on corals. We also have to consider ourselves, especially with the tools that we use every day to explore the ocean, which we should decontaminate. Unfortunately, it was suspected by scientists to be transmitted through ballast and bilge water, which is released from vessels. We can help to save one of the oldest ecosystems in the ocean. For this section coming up, we will elaborate on these 3 steps to reduce the spread of skittledy and get a better understanding of how the disease is spreading. Liquids that are discharged from vessels can be treated. While we are enjoying ourselves in the ocean, we can practice safety skills to ensure we don't transfer it as well. Gear and tools that are introduced to oceanic waters also have the potential to add to the spread of the disease. Let's dive into how vessels can spread the pathogen. What is a vessel? When we refer to vessels, we mean boats and ships of all different sizes. That goes for fishing, diving, tour boats, and more. Most boats can play a significant step to help reduce the spread of Stony tissue loss disease when it comes to their bilge or ballast water that is released into the ocean. Some vessels have ballast water, while others carry bilge water. What is bilge water? Bilge water is a combination of liquid substances like sea and fresh water that finds its way onto vessels and is stored at the bottom inside of the boat. It is also collected in the lowest part of the vessel. Many pollutants and pathogens can be mixed in with this liquid. That's why it should be treated and disposed of. Sterilizing your bilge water is extremely important when traveling between reefs. Our suggestion is to disinfect and pump the bilge water. You can treat the bilge with a natural detergent that contains sodium percarbonate, like this natural 7th-generation detergent, to decontaminate the accumulated liquids. Let the detergent sit for 10 minutes and then release the bilge water away from the reefs. Please note, it is very important that bleach should not be on any vessel within Bahamian waters, as it is illegal. If any of the sites that you visit show signs of Stony tissue loss disease, please release the bilge water at that exact location. Nevertheless, there are some vessels that collect and release ballast water. So, what is ballast water? Ballast water is water that a ship takes on to provide stability when a ship is being transferred while at sea. Water is constantly removed from one area of the ocean and released into another. This is where the problem lies, because it can transfer the pathogens from an infected site to a healthy location along with introducing invasive species. When it comes to commercial ships, the MARPOL is the main international convention covering the prevention of pollution of the marine environment by ships from operational or accidental causes. The Bahamas is part of this international convention. One of the annexes states that commercial ships should exchange their ballast water at least 200 nautical miles away from the nearest land, and it must also be done in 200 meters depth of water. Finally, the disease may be unintentionally spread by marine organisms, like the parrotfish you see on the left-hand side nibbling on a piece of coral, the corallivorous snail in the middle, or even the fireworm in the right photo. Marine organisms that consume and digest corals that have Stony tissue loss disease can spread the disease to a healthy reef site when they defecate. While we may not have any control over that, we can play a role in the prevention of the spread.
It's a good practice for all ocean lovers and professionals working in the marine field to refrain from touching corals with their body and their gear. It's very important that we do not touch, bump, stand on, pick up, or remove corals to avoid damaging them and also avoid transmitting the disease to other locations. One of the best ways to minimize the spread of Skittle D is by decontaminating your gear after visiting an area where Skittle D is present. A great practice to make habit of is to disinfect gear, tools, and equipment used in the ocean for water activities at the end of your day, especially if the disease is present in the area. Gear can be on-person devices like snorkeling, scuba diving, or free diving items, in-hand equipment like cameras, or even fishing tools and instruments. On land, non-sensitive gear and equipment should be cleansed at the end of the day with a diluted mixture of fresh water and a natural detergent containing sodium bicarbonate or a mild bleach solution for 10 to 15 minutes. If bleach is used, the measurement should be 1 cap of bleach per every 5 gallons of water. Immediately after, you should rinse with fresh water and leave the gear to dry. When at sea, the recommended practice is to dive at healthy reefs first, then later dive at areas with Skittle. When visiting areas with Skittle, freshwater rinses are a quick way to rinse your gear off between sites to prevent spreading the disease to healthy areas. Please note again, bleach should not be found on board vessels in the Bahamas. Sensitive gear should be soaked in a diluted mixture of fresh water and a natural detergent for 10 minutes max. We recommend using 7th generation detergent seen here. After, rinse and air dry.
We at Perry Institute for Marine Science, along with other organizations, have been collecting data on where the disease is located, and we have been treating as many infected corals as we could. Scientists have found that antibiotic treatments have been saving coral reefs. The antibiotics won't cure the corals, but it is effective enough to stop the spread at that spot if caught in time. From this webinar, there are a few steps to take away. Dive at healthy reefs that show no sign of Stony tissue loss disease first. Another good practice would be to disinfect all of your gear that you carry in ocean with you. Bring awareness of the disease by incorporating it into briefings to encourage safety first. And don't forget to avoid touching the corals in any way. Let us stop the spread together. We need your help. Assist us to identify where the disease is by reporting all suspected Stony tissue loss disease to our webpage or WhatsApp the number at the bottom of the screen. Better yet, send us a pin to WhatsApp if you have a smart device. Before sending your report, please ensure to attach a photo of the coral with the suspected disease, the date it was taken, the site name if you know it, and if your boat has a GPS, take a photo of the coordinates. Also, it would be helpful if you could give us a landmark. If you see something, say something. To learn more about Stony tissue loss disease, please subscribe to our social media handles and follow us on all of our platforms. Feel free to email us if you have any questions or if you would like to volunteer or even donate towards any of our projects. Special thanks to all of our partners and funders. Don't forget to spread the word to others, including ocean lovers, to ensure there are beautiful coral reefs in the future. That is the end of this webinar today. Thank you for watching. If you wish, you can go back and watch any of our previous webinars regarding Stony tissue loss disease that is attached to our description box. Stay tuned for more webinars like this coming soon.